What's going on, YouTube? I'm Andrew Crawford, the HC Legend, boy! The GOAT, not the GOAT, but I look like a GOAT. Close enough, am I right? I think I'm right. And today on the channel, we will be beginning a 10-part video series where I count down my top 100 favorite professional wrestlers of all time, from 100 all the way down to 1. So, from 100 down to Edge, who is my favorite. Everyone knows this, so it's no spoiler. Now, keep in mind, for this series, this is not factual things. These are not the greatest 100 pro wrestlers of all time. These are my 100 favorite. These are the 100 wrestlers that I am genuinely inspired by. If you notice a trend of there's a lot more Ruthless Aggression era guys than there are Attitude era guys, or this or versus that. Well, I'm a Ruthless Aggression era kid. I think the Ruthless Aggression era is the best era in pro wrestling. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Number 100, Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley / Dean Ambrose made his WWE debut in 2012 alongside Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns as a part of The Shield. However, Jon Moxley did not find the same levels of success as his two fellow Shield members, winning the WWE Championship once, the Intercontinental Championship about 2 or 3 times, winning 1 US title and a few tag titles alongside Seth Rollins. However, it was after he left and refound himself that his career resurged as Jon Moxley when he showed up at AEW's Double or Nothing, beat up Kenny Omega, and was the second ever AEW World Heavyweight Champion after Chris Jericho. Since then, he has been the one of, if not the very top guy in All Elite Wrestling. And as far as who he is a phenomenal talent, and he has brought a resurgence into the world of hardcore wrestling, bloodshed, all that, etc., etc. Jon Moxley is number 100. Number 99, the British Bulldog. The British Bulldog is one of those wrestlers that you might get sad when you think about because of what he should have been. The only championship he won outside of the tag team division was the Intercontinental Championship. I take that back. I think he might have been the European champion during his short stint in the Attitude Era. And it's not because he died too young. Yes, he died very early, and it's sad. But he was also just never properly pushed. The highlight of his career was that Intercontinental title match with Bret Hart at SummerSlam 92? I'm going to say 92. And I swear 92 sounds right. It's the one they had in Wembley Stadium. Yeah, AEW, you ain't the only company that gets to have pay-per-views in Wembley. British Bulldog, again, had the talent, and he was an innovator in what he was, and that is, yes, I'm a big, strong boy, but yes, I can actually go in the ring. Not a lot of huge, muscle-bound maniacs were proving that they could go in the ring. Then the British Bulldog showed up. And for that, I respect him, and he has found his way onto my top 100 pro wrestlers of all time. And given how many pro wrestlers there have been in history, I mean, top 100 ain't bad. Number 98, one of the many kings of hardcore. He is on the Mount Rushmore of hardcore wrestling, Terry Funk. Terry Funk is one of those wrestlers that I have a different level of respect for than I have for a wrestler that can wrestle a technical masterclass like an Eddie Guerrero. You see, yes, Eddie has technical ability out the wazoo. He could have took a broomstick in a ring and put on a 5-star match. Terry Funk could get 5-star matches in different ways. That different way being bleed all over the place. He literally had matches where they replaced the ring ropes with actual barbed wire and would just throw himself into the barbed wire like he was trying to kill himself. You know, but he also did have that technical side. He is a former NWA World Champion. You forget, this man was wrestling before hardcore wrestling was actually that popular and was putting on good technical matches. But he's known for his hardcore stuff. Even wrestling a match in 2006 with Mick Foley, Edge, and Tommy Dreamer, where this man was getting suplexed on barbed wire, smacked in the face with ladders, and outright murdered. I'm joking, Terry Funk obviously was never murdered. He actually died while I was on vacation a couple weeks ago. I'm big sad about that. Rest in peace, Terry Funk. Thank you for everything. You deserve to be on this list. Number 97, the least popular somehow member of the Anawahi family tree, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. Jimmy Snuka inspired a generation of talent. Jimmy Snuka was the first wrestler to do this death-defying cage dive that so many wrestlers have done since. Jeff Hardy, Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio have all taken their dives off the cage. Jimmy Snuka was the first. Jimmy Snuka was the innovator of high flying. You know, you look at all these high-flying guys now, the Young Bucks, the cruiserweights that we've seen, you know, Neville, Jeff Hardy, like I said, Rey Mysterio, like I said, RVD. Jimmy Snuka inspired them. He does not get the respect he deserves. Even I feel it's a little disrespectful to put him as low as 97 out of 100, but still, at least I'm talking about him. Jimmy Snuka's beyond talented, beyond deserves to be on anyone's top 100. He should realistically be higher, but it was just wherever I thought of you, that's where I put your name. So for all I know, this list isn't in order aside from my top 10. But, actually, no, I'm going to say like my top 25's in order. Anyways, Jimmy Snuka is in my top 100. If I was to rework the list and actually organize it, I'm sure he'd be higher. But as far as just my top 100 wrestlers of all time, he is in my top 100 at least. Jimmy Snuka, everybody. Number 96. Originally, I had Jake Roberts in this list. I just kicked Jake Roberts out of my top 100 because another hardcore wrestler that I have oodles of respect for, the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer ate, slept, and breathed ECW. ECW is one of his babies. ECW was the redheaded stepchild of pro wrestling in its day. WCW and WWE were having, you know, these long stories, these some of the time technical master classes. ECW was, if you're here, you're gonna bleed and you're gonna die if you can't for this business. Tommy Dreamer is one of the men on the Mount Rushmore of hardcore wrestling and of ECW. He is a wrestler that deserves respect for his longevity and his work ethic for this business. Tommy Dreamer is a wrestler that doesn't get enough credit, much like everyone from like my 100 down to 50, except for the more modern guys. And so, yeah, Tommy Dreamer finds his way on this list. 95, the king of the mid-card, Mr. Perfect. Kurt Hennig, the second generation superstar that wrestled from the 80s all the way up to the early Attitude Era. I only know this because I know for a fact he was in the 2002 Royal Rumble match, and he was one of the many men eliminated by Triple H on Triple H's return. However, he is also one of the more unique wrestlers because he had everything that you look for in a wrestler. He had the build, he had the promo ability, he had the ring work, but he didn't have the support backstage to actually get that push. He is a former Intercontinental Champion. He's one of the top Intercontinental Champions, but he never got that WWE title. Gosh, I hate Vince McMahon. Anyways, I think Mr. Perfect deserves to be on this list. Like I said, it's a bias, so, you know, obviously, if I put you there, I think you deserve it, but Mr. Perfect's one of those wrestlers that he gets talked about a lot, but he doesn't get talked about nearly enough because he wasn't pushed nearly enough. Mr. Perfect. Number 94, he's here to chew bubblegum and kick butt, and he's all out of bubblegum. Roddy Piper. The man that inspired Ronda Rousey and one of the original technicians, as his finisher was the first time we'd ever seen a, you know, quite the devastation, the sleeper hold, a former Intercontinental Champion, a former Tag Team Champion alongside Ric Flair, and you might be thinking, wow, what a tag team this must have been. Oh, you're right, if it would have been a few dozen years later, given that this happened in 2006. However, it's still Roddy Piper. The charisma this man oozed, the energy he had, even in his later years when he showed up in 2008 at MSG, and him and Jimmy Snuka had a stare down in the Royal Rumble match. You know, the infamous, you know, Roddy Piper smashing the coconut over Jimmy Snuka's head. There's so much about Roddy Piper to love. Like I said with Mr. Perfect, he had everything that a good pro wrestler needs, except for the backstage support. Roddy Piper. 93, I have the second best heel in professional wrestling today, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. I know what you're thinking. MJF's one of your 100 favorite wrestlers of all time. Yes. Because he's good at doing something that no wrestler besides one man was good at doing in the modern era. And that is blurring the lines of fiction and reality. The only other wrestler capable of doing that, I'll get to in like part 4 or 5 of this video. But MJF did it very well on a June night in 2022 when he cut a promo basically calling out Tony Khan for his ex-WWE guy bias, saying that if you're not from the WWE, you're not going to get paid by Tony, saying that no other wrestler in the AEW locker room can lace his GD boots, to which he was not wrong on any of those. As far as the modern era goes, obviously, like, AEW has Chris frickin' Jericho, who's one of the greatest of all time, but modern day Chris Jericho is nowhere near the level of Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the AEW World Champion, and what he calls himself, the devil himself. '92, Jamie Noble. Not J&J Security Jamie Noble. No, I take you back to the Ruthless Aggression era. The Cruiserweight division was known for its high flyers and its technicians. Jamie Noble was a mix of both. Jamie Noble was so criminally underrated. The only title he ever won is the Cruiserweight title. he had a fun stint with that. He played such a great character, such a hard worker, such a great technician in the ring, you know, the innovation of the Dragon Sleeper. And again, Jamie Noble was in WCW as well in its later days, and he was brought in with WWE, at first sent down to developmental, but brought in when they introduced the Cruiserweight title back to the main roster. He had great matches. Even in 2008, he had a little feud with William Regal over Layla, and that was such a fun little thing. Jamie's such a talented wrestler, and again, one of those wrestlers that deserves a lot more respect than he gets. I'm here to give it to him. Jamie Noble finds his way onto this list. 91. The third face out of 4 on the Mount Rushmore of hardcore wrestling. Sabu. Sabu is, again, one of the many faces of hardcore wrestling. Everything he did, only he did it in different ways than the other 3 heads on the Mount Rushmore of hardcore wrestling. He did it with, again, these daredevilish tactics of, like, these extreme leg drops. These, like, he had one move, and he hit it on John Cena in 2006. It was a springboard from the top rope to the announcer's table with a leg drop. And, you know, Sabu's just one of those guys that, again, you respect him for what he put his body through. You respect him for what he means to certain sub-genres of pro wrestling. What he means to hardcore wrestling is something that no one can ever dispute. So, Sabu. And that is part 1 of my 10-part series covering my top 100 favorite wrestlers of all time. What'd you think? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Don't forget to tell me about it in the comments below. Stay tuned as, let's see, today's Saturday. Probably Tuesday, later in the evening, I will be bringing part 2 of this video, where I talk about number 90 down to 81. Or I'll be doing his Case for Goat part 2 with Stone Cold. I haven't decided yet. But anyways, until next time, unlike John Cena, I can see you, and I will see you very soon.